In this video, I'm going to be breaking down question 25 of the USMLE's 2021 version of the free 120 sample questions for step 1, which I have linked in the description down below. So as usual, if you haven't gone through this question before, I encourage you to pause the video, work through the question yourself, and then come back and take a look at the breakdown. All right, so let's take a look at the question itself. As usual, we start at the end, we figure out what they're actually asking us, and then we go back and look for the information in the passage. So they're saying, what's the most likely cause of this patient's condition? Thinking about question types, the big three: diagnosis versus association versus mechanism. Cause, clearly a mechanism style question. So they're saying there's a 72-year-old woman coming in, fever, shortness of breath, difficulty swallowing, and some chest pain. Cough, okay, frail, not sure that helps a whole lot. Tachypnea, pulse is equal, and then looks like there's some dullness over the right lower lung. And then even better than that, well, then they give us some hypoxia, decreased PCO2, and then they give us some chest x-ray findings that shows there's some stuff in the right lower lung. So now I might even get rid of like this dullness here, because now we can actually see what's going on there. So we've got this elderly person who has difficulty swallowing with something in their right lower lung with low oxygen, and we've got to figure out why. So let's go through the answer choices here. So starting with A, alveolar proteinosis. I'll be honest, I see these words and I'm like, I'm not totally sure what they mean. And this is a common thing, is they might throw some unfamiliar words to us as sort of a destabilizer to get us to second guess our decision making. So I'm going to put a question mark next to that. I can't rule it out, but I don't know what to do with it yet. B, aspiration. So I know when people swallow things, it usually ends up in that right lower lung, or not when they swallow, but when they choke on something, right? If they swallow it, it goes to their stomach, I hope. But yeah, so that could be what's going on here. That kind of lines up with everything else we're seeing. So I'm liking that so far. C, cigarette smoking. You know, when I think of smoke, I usually think of things damaging, like I guess I'd think of it damaging both sides probably, and probably the upper lobes, upper, and I'd say bilateral. So I don't love smoking. I'm putting a down arrow next to that. Emphysema, that seems like a systemic thing. Maybe not systemic, but kind of going to involve more than just one spot of the lung. So I'd say more like a global change. So I don't really like that. Emphysema, probably going to be bilateral, and again, emphysema also doesn't have just fluid building up. It's going to be destruction of stuff, and we're going to have more air trapped in there. So I don't like emphysema as an answer. So I'll probably just get rid of that altogether. Then vasculitis. Can vasculitis do stuff in the lungs? I know there's like good pasture and things like that where the lungs get involved. But I think of vasculitis, that's a systemic thing. And if I'm thinking of a systemic lung disease, then it's probably going to affect both lungs. It's not just going to affect one of them and just one lobe. And so I'm not loving vasculitis. So now coming back to this, I've got two answer choices that I don't really like in C and E. I've got an answer choice that I kind of like in B, and then I've got an answer choice that I don't know what to do with in A. And so I think sometimes people get to this point, they think, okay, it could be B, but maybe they're trying to trick me, and they instead throw B out and they pick A, not knowing anything about A, but they just, for some reason, they've been trained to not trust their knowledge. And so that'll lead you to wrong answers if you follow that. So NBME test questions are going to be straightforward. If something seems like the right answer, it usually is. And especially if you're weighing against something else that you don't really know about, stay away from those unknown answers, those destabilizers, unless you've ruled everything out. It's a common scenario that they either give you enough knowledge that you can rule out the 4 other things, and then you pick the thing you don't know, or you get down to a 50-50 between something that seems kind of right and something that you don't know anything about. In that case, rule out the thing you don't know anything about and go with the thing that you know. So trust your partial knowledge there. I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, check out some of the other videos in this series. And as always, I hope this helps you out on test day.